It's a bit of a tough adjustment in our house, but it's good. I mean, I have two other daughters, so my oldest is very into the baby, but my middle child, not so much.
She said, just read it, because I was looking for movies that could be commercial and speak to the human experience.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Dee Talks Celeb. We are back with piping hot tea about Blake Lively's latest scorching response to Justin Baldoni's leaked footage. And let me tell you, if you thought the plot twists were over, think again. Following the bombshell release of Justin Baldoni's leaked video, which appeared to show the two of them filming a love scene in what seemed to be a cooperative and professional manner, Blake Lively is now insisting that every single frame backs up her allegations of unwanted intimacy with Justin.
Cross this way. Cross this way. Take your day. Cross this way.
That's so nosy.
I know. And my nose is so big.
Yes. I was hoping that we could address this. It's not too late. Just gotta shut down. We gotta call an insurance month and just deal with that.
Yeah.
And then,
God.
Just kidding.
No, it's true. That's why we hired Jenny Slate, too. Our noses match.
The twist? Anyone with functioning eyes who's watched the clip is basically left scratching their heads, wondering, wait, what are we missing here? A significant portion of viewers, myself included, thinks the footage looks more like a standard romantic scene. Cozy closeness, some cheek nuzzling, both actors leaning in. So, did we all collectively hallucinate? If you ask Blake's legal team, apparently the answer is yes. But let's be real, this is the internet we're talking about. The internet sees everything, has opinions about everything, and thrives on breaking down video clips frame by frame with the precision of an FBI lab. Let's rewind to the start of this fiasco. Blake accusing Justin of crossing boundaries, forcing extra on-screen closeness, and disregarding her comfort. Then came Justin's rebuttal, which included the now infamous behind-the-scenes video.
Oh my gosh, we don't shut up.
And Emily and I have, we have these moments where
Staring. You just stare.
Literally, we've done it for 5 minutes. it's like, I think you would find it terrifying. We just literally look at each other, and
When
time.
I found a sociopath.
And time stops.
Yeah.
But that's just how it's been for us from the beginning.
No, we're like, oh my god, there's not enough time.
And they score again.
If you've seen the footage, it shows the two of them rehearsing a romantic dance, complete with near kisses and playful banter about camera angles. According to Justin, it's solid evidence that everything was consensual, and that Blake was not only involved, but even helped orchestrate some of the moves. On the other hand, Blake insists it's proof of her emotional distress. Like, seriously? The real shocker here is the glaring mismatch between the vibe of the footage, two actors casually bantering about scene details, and Blake's claim that it was all improvised, non-consensual, and deeply uncomfortable for her. People are understandably confused, especially since she appeared to be leaning into the moment just as much as he was. Now, the term gaslighting is being tossed around like confetti, with folks on both sides trying to figure out what's real and what's fake.
A lot of it's my real life clothes or my husband's clothes or my girlfriend Gigi's clothes. I was borrowing some.
Wait, that's kind of amazing. So you have something of Gigi's in the movie.
Yeah, it's like a wedding, like something old, something borrowed, something blue, something new.
Wait, which
except
one?
it's just-
Now I want to think of the scene.
Oh, I'm wearing her stuff all over it.
Oh, really?
Tons of Bodhi, which is with the suit now that I'm wearing is Bodhi. It was meant for my husband, but I borrowed it.
His suit?
It was meant for him to wear, but it's so pretty. Look at it. You guys are not getting it in the shot.
Here's where things get interesting. Blake Lively is allegedly trying to rewrite our collective memory of what's clearly visible in the footage. If 95% of viewers interpret the video as showing standard on-set intimacy coordination, but Blake labels it as abuse, who are we supposed to believe? This is where the situation spirals from dramatic into the realm of absurdity. One thing fans universally dislike is feeling like a celebrity is questioning their intelligence. Take this as evidence. Polls reveal that a staggering 90% or more of viewers don't buy into Blake's version of events. That's not a small disagreement. That's a massive wave of public disbelief. Meanwhile, every new statement from Blake's camp seems to double down on a narrative that most fans feel is completely detached from reality. Let's not forget how this all started. Initially, Justin's response was a straightforward legal defense. He presented the footage to argue that he hadn't crossed any professional or personal boundaries while filming a romantic scene. Blake, however, viewed this move as yet another attack, describing it as straight out of an abuser's playbook. Critics have been quick to point out how closely this resembles tactics used by Amber Heard, where any attempt by the accused to defend themselves is reframed as additional abuse. If you're not seeing the connection, rest assured the internet has, and it's sparking a tidal wave of skepticism toward Blake's claims. Fans and onlookers alike are questioning the narrative, and the backlash seems to be growing by the day.
And then let's just do one almost super close.
Yeah.
Can you guys frame up on the Sebastian on you?
Yeah.
Just We'll just do like our lips are right next to each other. Yeah, gotcha.
The gravity of this situation can't be overstated. Real victims of harassment often face an uphill battle to be taken seriously, and Blake doubling down on a scenario that many interpret as typical on-screen chemistry could unintentionally undermine genuine claims made by others. But here's where things get worse. There's a growing fear that if we start crying harassment over every romantic scene or instance of lighthearted banter, we risk trivializing actual cases of abuse. It's the classic boy who cried wolf scenario played out in the high-stakes world of Hollywood, and the concern is real. If the next star comes forward with a legitimate assault claim, there's a risk that cynics might brush it off as just another Blake situation. That's the kind of PR disaster that sends shockwaves through an industry already struggling to handle its scandals responsibly.
We always tease each other. He was, after I gave birth, he was like, oh my gosh, if I lost you and I, went to the park with our 3 kids, I mean, think of the ladies I can. Like, this is a horrible thing to say. And he's like, I mean, I've got a long list. And I was like, oh, really? Because I just have one on my list. I didn't. I don't have anyone on my list.
And then it wasn't funny anymore.
No, it's so much more of a burn. He's like, wait, who? And I was like, okay, think of someone. Think of someone. Bob Newhart. I don't know.
Fans have pointed out that what they see in the footage looks like normal filming intimacy, not predatory behavior. Some, with a touch of irony, question if Blake has forgotten that she's an actor, while others humorously suggest that Ryan Reynolds should make a cameo with one of his trademark witty quips. But ironically, Ryan, usually the comedic superhero swooping in with a perfectly timed tweet, has remained silent. This silence is deafening and has sparked speculation. Is he trying to avoid escalating the situation further, or is there tension behind the scenes that we're not privy to? After all, if he were to joke about her victimhood, it could completely undermine her stance, creating an even bigger mess. Blake's statement highlights several actions she claims Justin did in the footage, kissing her forehead, rubbing his face against her neck, and commenting on how good she smells. However, many viewers of the actual video argue that it depicts a mild, consensual dance, entirely typical of rom-com scenes. She wasn't forcibly pinned or manhandled. Instead, she appears to be actively participating, leaning in, directing the angles, or even laughing mid-scene. This stark contrast between her claims and what fans see in the footage is fueling skepticism, and the debate continues to intensify online.
It's like, oh my god, I forgot to tell you something else.
Oh, I think that's cute. You guys are really cute.
I think it's more than cute.
They won the Stanley Cup.
I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
If what Blake describes as unwanted behavior truly is, it's perhaps the subtlest form of resistance we've ever seen. So, the question arises, does she see something we don't, or is she assuming we've missed the context entirely? To the public, this situation feels like a textbook example of gaslighting, because the so-called receipts seem to depict the exact opposite of her claims. Many believe the footage shows her equally in control, with no apparent trace of the discomfort she claims happened. Let's take a moment to reflect on how beloved Blake Lively used to be, a fashion icon known for her comedic banter with Ryan Reynolds and her charming public persona. But now, the tide is shifting, and the backlash is pouring in like never before. Fans are piling on the negativity, coining terms like Blake Targaryen vibes and more. Even typically neutral outlets like People Magazine and E! News are seeing their comment sections flooded with fans openly blasting Blake's version of events. This marks a drastic shift for someone who was once universally adored. And that's the danger when allegations don't seem to align with the evidence available to the public. Blake may still have loyal supporters, but the overwhelming sentiment suggests the tide has turned against her.
And Blake, you always have a vision. So talk to me about how sometimes you were even the intimacy coordinator in some of those sexier scenes. Like we saw you.
That shouldn't be happening, by the way. I just want to be clear that.
And yes, the comparisons to Amber Heard keep surfacing, and for good reason. We've seen this play out before. A star alleges abuse, brands every defensive move as further abuse, only for evidence to emerge that appears to contradict major parts of their story. The Amber Heard trial opened Pandora's box for pop culture, permanently changing the way fans approach he said, she said dramas. Now, Blake's situation is starting to feel eerily similar, stoking memories of what many saw as manipulation or overreach in the Amber Heard case. Fans can't help but draw parallels, and it's adding even more fuel to the fire. If this fiasco cements that parallel with the Amber Heard case, Blake's reputation would most certainly be damaged beyond repair. After all, fans and critics alike can be pretty unforgiving once they lock onto the idea of crying wolf.
It's a bit of a tough adjustment in our house, but it's good. I mean, I have 2 other daughters, so my oldest is very into the baby, but my middle child, not so much. But We're
really?
thinking of keeping her.
Does she like play with her? What does she think?
Well, she sort of like pretends to play with her. So like in the beginning, our oldest is like loving on her, and she's like very maternal, and then our middle daughter is just keeps away from her.
On the flip side, Justin is likely feeling a sense of vindication. By releasing the footage, he aimed to show the public what he saw, a standard on-set intimacy scene with no signs of forced contact. For the most part, that's how it has been received. However, there's always a risk in releasing raw behind-the-scenes tapes. Some critics could interpret it as him overshadowing Blake's concerns. That said, polls and public comments appear to be in Justin's favor. Many are concluding that he's more a victim of false claims than anything else, at least from their perspective. In fact, this could potentially boost Justin's image. If the public perceives him as someone who refused to stay silent, demanded transparency, and provided tangible proof to back up his side of the story, it might work in his favor. After all, it's 2025. A single video can shift an entire narrative. As for what comes next, the possibilities are endless. Could new footage angles surface? More receipts from either side? Legal action, including lawsuits or countersuits, seems almost inevitable if Blake remains firm on her story, and Justin feels defamed. We could be heading straight into a legal roller coaster. But the question remains, does this fiasco harm actual victims of workplace harassment? Many are concerned that claims like these could undermine legitimate stories of abuse or harassment. The worry is that the next time an actor or crew member steps forward with a genuine story, they might face heightened skepticism. That's the truly heartbreaking potential of situations like this. Each time a high-profile figure's allegations fall apart in the public eye, it provides cynics with new ammunition to cast doubt on the next real victim. The ripple effect can make an already difficult process of coming forward even more daunting, as public trust becomes increasingly fragile in the face of such controversies.
I'm honored, and I'm also more honored that because, what we're talking about is so important and so meaningful, that we're able to have this much anticipation, and so many people want to go see it and are talking about it. That's what I'm grateful for.
And you had a key part in bringing it to the big screen. How did this all come to be?
Well, in 2019, I read the book. I was sent the book by my book agent and friend at the time, and I was looking for films that could inspire, that were commercially viable, but also could really reach in and touch somebody's heart.
Perhaps by acknowledging the possibility of fusion or miscommunication in the scene, Blake's team could have prevented the backlash and redirected the narrative. Such an approach might have allowed for a more productive dialogue, instead of fueling the polarizing and heated public discourse we're seeing now. All in all, this meltdown has become one of the strangest clashes in recent Hollywood memory. Blake continues to insist the video fully supports her claims, while the vast majority of the public sees a completely different narrative. The current verdict? Another blow to Blake's credibility. What happens next could be game-changing. Will the studio, other co-stars, or even hush-hush NDAs come into play? This is Hollywood, where drama rarely fades quietly. Stay tuned, because if Blake decides to double down once more, or Justin releases even more behind-the-scenes footage, the saga could escalate even further. So do you think that Blake Lively is going full Amber Heard? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching!